This is a video for beginners in English. This is Sarah's daily routine. Sarah gets up every day at 6 in the morning. She has a cup of coffee and reads the news. And then she has a shower. She eats breakfast with her husband and then drives to work. She has meetings all morning before she has lunch at midday. Sarah finishes work at 5 in the afternoon. She eats dinner at 7 in the evening and then watches TV with her husband. They sometimes play card games instead. She brushes her teeth and they go to bed at about 11 at night. She always reads before she goes to sleep. Sarah doesn't work at the weekend. On Saturdays, Sarah goes to the market to buy fresh vegetables and cheese. She goes to the gym in the afternoon. In the evening, she often goes to concerts or to the theatre. On Sundays, Sarah sees friends at a cafe or restaurant. They might also go shopping or play tennis together. On Sunday evenings, Sarah gets ready for her next working week. She goes to bed early so that she can get enough sleep. What is your daily routine? Does it change at the weekend? Tell me in a comment below the video. Listen to the daily routines of Rose and Robert. Rose is a lawyer. Her days are very busy. She wakes up at 5:30 in the morning and reads the news while she eats her breakfast. She takes the bus to work at 7 a.m. She has meetings and answers emails all morning, and then she eats lunch at 1 p.m. In the afternoon, she has more meetings. She finishes work at about 6:30 and goes home. She eats dinner at about 8 p.m. After dinner, she answers more emails. Then she has a shower and brushes her teeth before she goes to bed. She reads a book and goes to sleep at about 11 p.m. Rose's routine doesn't change very much at the weekend. she still gets up at about 5:30 in the morning. She has meetings with clients. Sometimes she meets her friends. Occasionally, she calls her sister. At the weekend, she normally goes to bed at about midnight. Now listen to Robert's daily routine. Robert is at college. He doesn't have a job. He is less busy than Rose. He gets up at 9 a.m. He eats breakfast and brushes his teeth. Then he has a shower. Robert leaves the house much later than Rose. He walks to university and arrives at 10:30. Robert also has lunch later than Rose. He eats his lunch at about 2 p.m. He finishes at university at about 4 p.m. and then he goes to the library to study. He leaves at about 6 p.m. every day and walks home. He eats dinner at about 8 p.m. Then he goes out to see his friends. He brushes his teeth and goes to bed at about midnight. Robert's routine is different at the weekend. On Saturdays and Sundays, he wakes up a bit later. He doesn't go to university. He plays computer games with his friends and goes to bars. Then he goes to bed after midnight. Now it's your turn. What is your daily routine? Tell me in a comment below the video. Mary lives in the north of England. She is 23 years old. She lives with her friend and works in a shop. This is her daily routine. On work days, Mary wakes up at 7 a.m. She gets up and has a shower. She eats breakfast in the living room and walks to work. It takes 30 minutes to walk to the shop where she works. Mary starts work at 9 a.m. She eats lunch at 1 in the afternoon and finishes work at 5:30 in the afternoon. She walks home and eats dinner with her flatmate. She usually watches TV and goes on social media in the evening. Mary brushes her teeth and drinks some water before she goes to bed every night. She also plays the guitar every day. At the weekend, Mary sleeps in. She gets up a little bit later than on work days. She sees friends and goes to bars on Saturdays. On Sundays, she calls her mum and goes to the gym. Now it's your turn. What is your daily routine? Tell me in a comment below the video. Here is my daily routine. On work days, I usually get up at 7 a.m. I eat breakfast and drink a cup of tea. Then I have a shower and go to work. I always eat lunch at midday, and sometimes I buy a chocolate bar. I finish work at about 5 p.m. and drive home. I make dinner and watch TV with my wife. We occasionally play board games or read before we go to bed. I brush my teeth and turn off the light. At the weekend, I wake up a little bit later. After breakfast, I often go to the gym. Saturday is normally busier than Sunday. I usually see my friends or go to the cinema. We go to a cafe or have a walk in the park. Occasionally, I go to a restaurant. What is your daily routine? Write in the comments below the video.